get their votes in. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chasten, a fellow Michigander. So we were just bantering, and I tried to get him to admit that he likes Grand Rapids more than Traverse City, but I couldn't do it. Traverse City's pretty awesome, but we are so grateful to have him here in Grand Rapids, and so now I'll turn it over to him.
Mayor, I would get in big trouble. Something I learned from Pete, never say something in one room that you wouldn't want repeated in another, so I definitely want to go back to Traverse City. It's so nice to see all of you. Thank you for the warm welcome. I was just talking to Pete about this feeling when you're back on the campaign trail. It is so nice to see people, even though we have to be social distance, even though we need to wear these masks. But I remember when we used to do 20 things a day, so doing 3 is just great. This election is so important, and it's so important to Pete and I to be out on the trail doing everything we can to elect Joe and Kamala, because it's personal. It is so personal. Just think of the people in our lives who are impacted, our own lives, our marriages, by the decisions that are made in Washington. I love having people come visit us in Traverse City when they step off the plane and they say, the air is so clean. You know, it's so fresh here. I want to keep it that way. So I would really like for us to elect a president who believes in climate change, who believes in science, who wants to protect this beautiful state and the people that make it so wonderful. You know, as a closeted kid growing up in northern Michigan, I know what it's like to feel on the outside, but I also know what it's like to meet people who believe in you. I'm here today because people believed in me. They gave me a chance. They showed me love and patience and kindness and acceptance. And I want all of those things for every American. I think about my students every day. I want a president who sees them and who believes in them, who will protect them. And not just LGBTQ kids, but every kid in this country. I'm tired of teachers having to go to work, to go to school and be fearful of this gun violence epidemic in this country when they should be focusing on teaching and not protecting their children. That's what this election is about. When you boil it down, the most personal things in our lives, our families, the feeling of belonging, protecting our coastline, our environment, our marriages. And I know some of you are going out to knock on doors today, so I would ask you to maybe get comfortable being uncomfortable. That I know we hand you these sheets and it says how to have a conversation with someone, and here are some things that you want to hit on. Make sure you have a plan to vote early. But don't be afraid to make it personal. You're not just a person there making sure that person has a plan to vote. You're also somebody who has many things at stake on the line in this election. So that's when I'm talking to people about voting, I'm talking about my husband and how I would like to make sure it remains that way. I talk about my mom, who's been battling cancer for the last 13 years, and how the Affordable Care Act helps her have access to affordable quality health care and prescriptions and chemotherapy. That it is all personal. It's the most personal election of our lifetime. So don't be afraid to tell people what is at stake in your life and why it is so personal. And that's how we win, when we make it personal, when we look at somebody in the eye and say, this is what's at stake for me. This is what I stand to lose, but this is what we stand to gain if we do this together. Thank you so much for this warm welcome in Grand Rapids. It is so nice to see this many people turning out to go out and knock on doors and make sure other folks have a plan to vote. You're all going to knock on doors, right, eventually? Yeah? Good. All right. So I am just a teacher. I am not a politician. So I'm going to turn it over to the politician in the relationship. Again, thank you so much. It's great to be home in Michigan. And please help me welcome my husband, Pete Buttigieg.